Broadcasting live from the Albay PIO News Center, providing you the most exclusive news update from all over the province. This is News at 12. News at 12.
In the local scene, Bicol Regional Development Council Chairperson and Albay Governor Noel E. Rosal presented key infrastructure and development priorities for the region during the Luzon Area Committee meeting of the Regional Development Councils in San Fernando, La Union. Among the proposals discussed was the inclusion of utility pole relocation projects under the government's electrification fund. Rosal said the measure aims to address delays in road construction and other infrastructure projects caused by obstructive utility poles. He reported that a resolution supporting the proposal has been approved and endorsed to the Department of Public Works and Highways. The resolution seeks funding for the relocation of utility poles affected by road widening and similar projects. Rosal also reported that the proposed Albay Township project at the old Legazpi Airport site has been included in updates to the Luzon Spatial Development Framework. The meeting brought together regional development officials and planners to discuss priority programs and strategies for growth across Luzon. In other story, the provincial government of Albay is preparing for the unveiling of a memorial bust honoring the late Congressman Carlos Papay R. Imperial. The Provincial Tourism, Culture and Arts Office held a coordination meeting at the Albay capital to finalize preparation for the ceremony. The memorial recognized Imperial's contribution as one of the founding authors of Bicol University. The initiative is supported by a resolution of the Sangguniang Panlalawigan recognizing his contributions to education, public service, and regional development. The unveiling is scheduled on July 13 at Bicol University in observance of Imperial's birth anniversary. Members of the Imperial family and former colleagues in public service are expected to attend the event. In other news, the provincial government of Albay has stepped up dengue prevention and response efforts following a cluster of dengue cases in Barangay San Pedro in Bacacay. The Provincial Epidemiology and Surveillance Unit, Provincial Dengue Program, and Environmental Sanitation Team conducted investigations and surveillance activity in the affected communities. Health workers distributed Olisset mosquito nets and information materials to affected households in a nearby elementary school. The team also held dengue awareness campaigns at the Barangay San Pedro Chapel, Balandra Daycare Center, and San Pedro Elementary School. Residents joined a community cleanup drive to eliminate potential mosquito breeding sites. The Provincial Health Office stressed the importance of regular environmental sanitation and sustained community participation in preventing dengue. Health officials also urged residents to remove stagnant water and seek immediate medical attention for anyone showing symptoms of the disease. In the national scene, the House Prosecution Panel has asked the Senate Impeachment Court to open a sealed Bureau of Internal Revenue box containing Vice President Sara Duterte's tax records as part of the ongoing pre-trial proceedings. Mamamayang Liberal Representative Leila de Lima said the request aims to allow in an inventory of the documents which may be used as evidence in allegations that Duterte has unexplained wealth. De Lima added that opening the box during the pre-trial stage could help speed up and make the impeachment trial more efficient. The Senate, acting as the impeachment court, will decide whether to grant the House panel's request to unseal the records. The tax documents were previously subpoenaed by the House Justice Committee, but most members voted against opening them, citing taxpayers' privacy protections under the National Internal Revenue Code. In other story, Senate Secretary and Impeachment Court Clerk Renato Bantug said on Wednesday that he has not yet received any formal request from the House Prosecution Panel to extend the pre-trial proceedings in the impeachment case against Vice President Sara Duterte. The prosecution team earlier disclosed that it had asked for additional pre-trial days, including Friday and Saturday, to complete the marking of evidence and other procedural requirements. Bantug said holding a pre-trial session on Friday would be acceptable if needed, but he expressed hope that the weekend could be reserved for administrative and housekeeping tasks. The pre-trial conference, which started on June 18 and is scheduled to end on Thursday, may take longer because both sides are still reviewing and marking a large volume of documentary evidence. Only Articles 1 and 2 remain under review, covering Duterte's alleged misuse of confidential funds and unexplained wealth, while Articles 3 and 4, involving alleged bribery of education officials and her controversial remarks about a supposed hitman plot, have already been addressed. In other news, the Philippine National Police PNP will submit its finding on the deaths of Ateneo de Manila University student athletes Rene Baterbonia and Divine Adili to the Department of Justice on Friday, Interior Secretary John Vic Remulla said on Wednesday. Remulla said the investigation is nearly complete and described the findings as conclusive, adding that authorities will explain the results once the final report is released. Baterbonia and Adili, members of the ADMU men's basketball team, drowned after being swept away by strong waves while training in Dipakulaw, Aurora earlier this month. The PNP's Criminal Investigation and Detection Group, CIDG, launched a probe into the incident and later expanded its investigation to examine possible homicide or hazing-related violations. According to Remulla, investigators interviewed nearly 100 people and gathered around 1,200 pages of testimonies over the past 2 weeks, with the CIDG expressing confidence in its case build-up. And in the news outside the country, Iran and Oman agreed on Tuesday to study the fees that could be charged for maritime services in the Strait of Hormuz, while reaffirming their sovereignty over the strategic waterway. The two countries said they would continue discussions through a joint working group to determine how navigation in the Strait of Hormuz will be managed and what service costs may apply under international standards. Oman's Foreign Minister Badar al-Busaidi stressed that both nations remain committed to ensuring safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz without imposing transit tolls on ships. The agreement followed meetings in Muscat between senior Iranian and Omani officials, including Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi and Oman Sultan Haytham bin Tariq. The issue has drawn strong opposition from the United States, with President Donald Trump and Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent warning Oman against supporting any system that could be viewed as charging vessels for using the waterway. In other story, Japan's senior vice ministers for foreign affairs and industry visited Kiev on Tuesday to discuss support for Ukraine's reconstruction and recovery efforts. The visit by Oyano Kunimitsu and Kenji Yamada was the first trip to Ukraine by Japanese political appointees under Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi's administration. During talks with Deputy Prime Minister Taras Katka, the officials discussed Japan's assistance for rebuilding Ukraine, with Katka expressing hope for stronger cooperation and Kunimitsu reaffirming Japan's sanctions against Russia. The trip was also the first visit by a senior Japanese government official to Ukraine since former Foreign Minister Takeshi Iwaya traveled to the country in November 2024, according to the Japanese government. And finally, in the news outside the country, with reference to the Philippines, the United States has transferred 4 autonomous underwater and surface vehicles to the Philippines Armed Forces in a move aimed at strengthening maritime domain awareness in Southeast Asia. The equipment, known as Ocean Aero Triton Systems, was handed over during a ceremony at the Philippine Navy facility in Subic Bay, Zambales, according to the U.S. Embassy. Officials said the solar-powered systems can operate for up to 30 days and collect data above and below the ocean surface through networked monitoring capabilities. Washington and Manila said the technology will support efforts to address illegal fishing and other maritime security challenges, particularly in disputed areas of the West Philippine Sea. Both sides said employment will be based on operational requirements as the allies continue to deepen defense cooperation under their mutual defense framework. And that's the news at 12, June 25, 2026. We'll be back tomorrow for more news updates. Thanks to our news writers Naomi Ruth Hernandez and LJ Lurejo. And on the technical side, Tad Bobis. And our Provincial Information Officer OIC, Marty Gonzalez. And under the supervision of our Governor, Noel Irusal, I am Greg Hallare. Thank you for subscribing. Albay in my heart.